Bob Proctor mentioned how the feelings are our way of labeling the vibrations that we're experiencing. And I was like, oh, junk. And we have recently done an episode on vibration in the Hermeticism episode and also on frequency in that frequency episode. I think it's really important for us to note that that intuition is in all of us, very much like the memory. We all have it. The thing is we start to go sideways when we continue to ignore it. I speak from experience in relationships. I know this woman wasn't good for me, god damn it, but the love it was good, man. So I was like, shut up, gut. Shut your ass up. So
I think every male's been there. Every female too, probably at one point.
Yep.
Males
we are all human. It ain't a fluke. It ain't a fluke, baby. It's not a fluke. No. My guy.
What is happening?
Mama say, mama sa, mama makusa. There's actually words. They say that Michael Jackson was actually saying something when he said that. It wasn't mama say, mama sa, mama makusa. It was like, I forget, but whatever. Maybe that's another episode.
What does that even mean? What does that even mean?
I know, that's the thing. Like, I think it's really like he was saying something, but we hear something. You know what I mean? It's like, And I saw someone shared it. I gotta find it. Someone shared what he actually said, and I was like, "Oh shit, that." Yo, see, crazy, bro, crazy. Yeah. So, welcome to It's More Than Black or White Health Podcast. Thank you for showing up and tuning in. Like, share, subscribe. It's your boy Paul, your boy B, Ryan. What's up, B?
Oh, feeling good, man. Just got back from a little vacation with the family. I'm ready to do this. It's been like almost 3 weeks we haven't done a podcast live or like, shot one. So it's like I'm pumped, man. I love this stuff. This is fun.
I know.
It is fun. This is my relaxation. This is my purpose, our purpose. There's no stress to this, man. Just go out there and have fun and drop some bombs.
So
drop
some
bombs.
Yeah, drop some bombs.
Have some fun, man.
That's how we do. That's how we do, Z. So people, listen, this podcast is about supporting you in getting knowledgeable, getting gems, getting strategies on how to better your health, whether it's like you doing it yourself, you working with your doctor, primary physician, whoever. This is to give you the goodies on stuff that's physical, mental, emotional. And at the time of this podcast, we are rounding up a couple of months of mental health, B. You know that, right?
That's it.
Yeah. You remember.
Yeah.
May, mental health. June, men's mental health. And it had me questioning something, Brian.
What's that?
How do we measure mental health?
I don't know. I don't know if you can quantifiably measure it, if that's the word, but I think I think it's subjective to everyone. If you're at peace and calming and you're in a good mood and you're positive, that's a good sign that your mental health is there. Anything less than that, you're vibing low and you need to work on something, man. So this is what we're talking about.
Man. Yep. And I'm digging what you're saying. And my analytical, nerdy self was like, I have to have measures. I need measures, man. So I went on a mental hunt, and I ended up finding these things called mental faculties. So we're going to talk about these mental faculties. And first, starting off with what the hell is what? Like a facility? Mm-hmm. A building? No. We're going to dive into that. So we're going to go into like a way of measuring. Because Brian, I was perplexed because I started getting frustrated. I was like, look, if everybody keeps talking about anxiety or depression, then my energy is going to be on anxiety and depression. There's got to be something else that I could put my mind and energy into. So that's when I started looking at like what the heck. And I think by whatever intervention, whatever thought form, I found mental faculties. So here's what they are, people: perception, will, imagination, reason, memory, intuition. What? So listen, if you're like, I have no idea, what the heck? Great, you're in the perfect place, because Brian and I are going to break it down based on what we interpreted. Because we were talking about B. How was that for you? Like researching this,
Yeah,
bro?
when
What
you
was that?
brought it up, I really didn't know the six mental faculties. You know, that's one of the things I love about doing this with you. And we put our heads together. You teach me so much, and you make me go down this rabbit hole of things I never even heard about. But when I started doing my research on it, like a lot of stuff I'm gonna be piggybacking off today was Bob Proctor. Like he was
Yeah,
really big into this. You know, one of the things that he was saying, or maybe I got it from somebody else, was like we are we are God's highest form of creation, and what separates us from the rest of the animals are these six mental faculties: perception, will, reason, memory, imagination, and intuition. So for me, now that I learned about this, I'm like, okay, now I realize the importance of this and how to really dive into this to improve mental health. And I think this will benefit a lot of people out there too. So
brother, I agree. I agree. Yes, that's one of the things. I'm so excited to hear you say like you got excited about it, because when I found him, I felt the same way. I was like, finally, like, because Earl Nightingale talked about this all the time. Like we and I love that quote you just said. Like we're this highest thought from our ability to think and reason, but most people fail to think and reason. And I think it's so powerful because we talk about a lot of stuff about empowerment and the mind. So I think it's important that we do go over these, because just like how both Brian and I, because this is relatively new to me too. I just really found this like in the beginning of June, and I think I brought it up to you. Like I was like, hey, can we talk? And then we dove into it some more. So I want to go into, and the thing about this that I also want to highlight is when I was watching, I was telling B in the pregame, I was watching the paradigm shift. Brian, did you watch that when you were researching?
Wayne Dyer,
Did you
is
see
that
that
Wayne
one?
Dyer?
Yeah, no, this was Bob Proctor. He had a paradigm
No,
shift video about the faculties.
no, I didn't
All
see
right,
that one. Okay, something to watch.
all right, I'm gonna send that to you, and I'll include that in the show. We'll include that in the show notes too. The reason why I bring this up is before Brian and I get into it. Uh, Bob Proctor looked at these mental faculties as a way of creating a paradigm shift in your world, in your life. So by practicing these six faculties, he's saying that you're able to create a shift or change what's around you, what you're experiencing. So I want you to remember that as we're going through. We'll remind we'll remind them throughout this whole thing too about that paradigm shift shit. But I think it's great because this is about developing the faculties of the mind. So since I've been talking a lot, so B, hit us with the first one you want to talk to, bro. Hit us with it.
Yeah, the one I got was memory, and this was interesting to me. So
Mhm.
basically, what I got out of it, and everyone kept saying the same thing, is they were saying no one has a bad memory. We all have a perfect memory, but most of us have weak memories. And this was coined by a guy named Harry Lorraine and Jerry Lucas in the book called The Memory Book. And all these faculties over here are our mental muscles. We don't have bad memories, we just have weak memories, but we can develop them just like getting a muscle bigger. Going to the gym and you're working out, you grow your
Right.
muscle. We can do the same thing with our brain. So certain things you can do is you can get a book on memory and start studying, start doing things like you would with the physical muscles. Again, exercise your mental faculties and get them powerful and strong. So I building up memory. I mean, like you look in today's age, like a lot of people. We talked about this in the past, like with Alzheimer's and dementia and all this stuff. People are losing their mind at an earlier and earlier age every year, and it's common, but it shouldn't be common.
Right,
It shouldn't be
right.
no. It should,
It's
it's
not far as common as it is.
Yeah, it
Yes.
shouldn't be
Right.
normal. That's what I'm trying to say. So that's one of the things I love about educating myself. I know you're in the Duolingo. I'm trying to learn a new language.
Yeah.
I'm constantly trying to travel. I'm trying to spark creativity in my mind and bring in new information. That's why I love learning new topics. And every day I'm trying to learn, just creating more neural pathways, and all this stuff, and just try to keep me as sharp as possible. And I think that's big.
Huge. I dig it. I dig it, man. And I'm hearing what you're saying about everyone's got the perfect memory. It's weak and deconditioned.
Yeah.
And that's when I was looking at the memory piece of it and hearing what you say. It's just like anything else. It really is that muscle, man, and practice. And it's wild because that brings me into this whole faculty and really creating energy towards something. So if I'm creating energy towards remembering something, like even in meditation, in the thought discipline, if I'm meditating, I'm visually, I'm here, like if I can remember what my mind is thinking and still be able to let it go so I can recall it, that's practicing, that's building your memory capacity.
You know what this remind me of?
What's that?
You know this better than me. What's that thing called? The Ashkaric records?
The Akashic records. Yes.
Akashic records. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, Akashic records. So I was reading something on that the other day, just because why not,
Yeah, exactly.
Records. So Akashic records are a collection. It's basically, for those out there that don't understand, Akashic records are a collection of everything that's in our mental field that has ever happened, throughout the universe, at all time, everywhere it's ever happened. And as you start meditating more, and as you start getting into meditation, they say is like you can actually pick out anything that you want to see or experience in those Akashic records. I mean, it takes a lot of years of practice and everything like that. But that's what he meant by everyone has a perfect memory. Everyone has the potential to get in there. And I've been blessed and known a couple like gurus in my life that actually have this pathway. They can tap into pretty much anything and pull it out of that. I don't know. Well, I think it's a mental field. I don't think it's the astral field. I think it's a mental field. But anyway, this is where my mind started going as I was reading this memory. I was like, everyone has a perfect memory. Okay, that would make sense because we all have the potential to do that as long as we get out of our own way and we treat our body accordingly.
Yup, dude. Oh man. Okay, I want to pause for a second because that right there, bringing in the Akashic records, because
we each found another episode.
Another episode, bruh. So listen, because Mike. So for those that remember, we had a guest, Mike Schmidt. He's the dude that introduced me to the Akashic records, and he explained it was like how you explained it was beautiful. He was like, yeah, it's like the All's library of every record and everything. And I'm like, what? But it's fascinating because when you talk about the perfect memory, we're all gifted with this knowledge, like because we all are a part of, like, listen, another episode, we're all a part of a universe, like we're all a part of this. So this comes into some other things that are a part of these faculties, but being able to recognize like we have a perfect memory, or we have that memory piece. It's also about another faculty, which is will. The will, I'm just going to show this one. I'm going to get better at this. So the will is, I think, works well with the memory, because if we choose to focus our energy and attention on one thing, we have a better time of remembering it. And when I was looking up will, this was one of those ones I was like, what? I said, wait, hold up. So I have the will different definition. So I liked what it was writing. But the thing is that it was like further down on the listed definitions. So, but the will, regardless of the definition, the will is your ability to focus. Okay. If you think about it, and I was like, damn, that makes sense. because it's like I have an iron will. What the heck is an iron will, B? My ability to be like, yo, I'm getting this. I'm focused on this and only damn well this. You can kiss my tush because I'm right here. That's will, man. And this is important because, and I think especially when we talk about the anxiety, depression, this is why I think this is fascinating, B, because instead of me focusing on that, I'd rather focus on like, well, wow, what do I want to focus on? I want to focus on this and keep my attention because we live in distractions, Brian. Dude, bruh. I mean, come on, man.
I feel like
So
will
this
is
one,
very, very powerful if you use it in the way. Remember, we've had that conversation with Francis. We're talking about the hermetic principles of
yes,
gender, and how like the conscious is the male, and using male force would be a male trait would be will, and the subconscious is female. Your job is to impregnate it to create energy and create your external world. So, like, I think a good analogy would be like, if you're really focused, think of it almost like a magnifying glass with the sun out, and you focus that energy onto something, you're going to burn right through and you create so much energy. But the problem is we keep moving the magnifying glass all over the place and it never actually burns. It never creates any energy because, like you were saying, we're so distracted all the time. So I think that's one of the biggest reasons people don't reach their goals. They're just too distracted. They got too many things going on.
Listen, me, brother, I was a professional shallow hole digger. Like I would be like, oh, I'm gonna do this, chip, chip, chip. Oh, you know what? Let me do this, chip, chip, chip. Oh, let me do this, chip, chip, chip. And I would focus on so many things that I would focus on anything. So I think this is really important, and you bring up a great point, especially when we're talking about this health and well-being. Part of that is your prosperity, your abundance. In order for us to achieve that, or as a people, as a person, using our ability to think and using our capacity to focus. Again, this is something. I'm speaking again from a person that experienced like anxiety attacks and anxiety at point of experienced anxiousness. It's when my mind starts racing. It's like, then all of a sudden I'm like, but when I could just hone in and focus on one thing, I can stay calm. So it's wow, bro.
I realize this a lot with like as you know, we're both entrepreneurs, and early in my entrepreneurial career, I would focus on something, and I'd be really motivated. I'd be really motivated to do something. And it comes to a point where after a while, you're like maybe like a month or doing it or a few weeks, and you're just not motivated anymore, and you got to rely on discipline. I'd be like, and I would come up with any possible excuse not to do it. I'd be like, all right, there's something else out there. And I would just leave that in the dust, go to something else, and keep going. So for like first probably 10, 15 years of me being an entrepreneur, I would just fumble around. I wouldn't get anywhere. I'd be working my ass off, but I would never make any money. I wouldn't do anything because I would never stick to it. And it's almost like the analogy I was using with the magnifying glass. Like once you hit that roadblock where that motivation runs out, that's when the magnifying glass starts heating up. You don't get the fire yet, but you really just got to be like, all right, one more month, and just drive through it. And then the universe just like opens up, or whatever. You use the magnifying glass analogy, things set on fire in a good way, and you're into that next level.
But bro, I love that analogy. And I think like especially being able to get through like each of those moments when I can focus on the end result. Like this is where I'm gonna be. This is where I'm gonna feel. I'm like, oh shit, it sucks. I'm sweeping floors, but I'm in Jamaica. Mm-hmm. I'm on my land. You know what I mean? Like, but that's the beautiful thing about this mental faculty. I'm so excited that we're talking about this because especially when it comes to mental health, it's such a growing thing right now. So if people can start to divert their energy into something different, it's a game changer, bro. What's another one you got, man?
What's another one I got? Imagination. So imagination, like one thing I did a little research on this too, and I went down a little bit of a rabbit hole, and they were saying
no.
And they did a study. They did a study that they I guess not interviewed 5-year-old kids, but like I guess they just kind of watched them and gave them like different objectives to kind of figure out different challenges to kind of figure out. And what they
Mm.
came to, I think it was like something like 10,000 kids or that were at the age of 5. 95% of these kids at the age of 5 would be considered genius because we use this they did this a lot with a lot of the children. So we all because basically all kids do is they're always fantasizing, they're building things, they're taking cardboard boxes, they're making planes out of it, like they find things differently or they find issues to a problem differently than adults do. And then they
Yeah.
follow the same kids, and by like the age of 12, it was like, or by the age of 10, they were like maybe 40% were considered geniuses. And by the time they were like in their teens later on, going through the education system, they were saying 2% were actually geniuses. So like they were like, oh, what's causing this? And it basically just came down to the linear education that we have. It teaches you how to like just memorize these facts and all this other stuff, and don't think outside the box. You have a multiple choice question and it's only one answer. It can't be something different, or it can't be a bunch of different answers. So it teaches you basically what they were saying is like the education system teaches you how not to be a genius. It creates an ingenious person in you because you're already born with the genius in it. But I thought that was interesting. They were saying if you want to impress that into the subconscious, so mind, and get emotionally involved in that idea. So the important thing of a subconscious mind is that it has to accept everything. It has no ability to reject, and once it gets to the subconscious mind, it has no idea if it's actually real or imagined. So Napoleon Hill actually said it's the most marvelous, miraculous, inconceivable, powerful force the world has ever known. Whenever we believe it in our mind, we are capable of doing it. So to kind of rehash what I'm saying is when you imagine something, you imagine your future, you imagine that it already happened, your subconscious mind doesn't know if it's real or not. It doesn't know if it's impossible to do or it isn't. And so that's for you to be successful in life. I really, 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 really believe that you got to be somewhat delusional. And I mean this.
Say it again for the people in the back, bro.
You have to be delusional in a way. You have to already realize that you already manifested it. It already happened. It already came true. And you have to play this role in your head. And sometimes it's very hard, especially with something that you have a setback at work or you have setback in your business. And you just got to be like, okay. And I always kind of bring myself around to like the Napoleon Hill. Like for those who don't know Napoleon Hill, he wrote a book called Think and Grow Rich. And he interviewed like 500 wealthiest people at the time, or most successful people at the time. And every single person had the same thing happen to them right before they became successful. They hit a rock. They almost hit like rock bottom. And so when I get like a stump, like something blocks me on my path, I'm like, all right, I'm almost there. That's my Napoleon Hill. That's my Napoleon Hill part. I hit the rock bottom. Just keep going through it. Keep your will, like you mentioned before. Keep that imagination sharp. Know it's already happened, and keep driving through it. And that's part of the journey. So it's almost I almost like program myself when something bad happens. In a way, I get positively excited in a way, because I'm like, I'm almost there. Go. Don't get me wrong. For like maybe 5 seconds, it irks me. I'm like, man, motherfucker, like. Then I'm like,
Sometimes it lasts for months for me, but but yo, bruv, I think, man, dude, you're head on, man. You're right on it, man. That's why I appreciate. That's one of the many things I appreciate about Think and Grow Rich. Like it talked about our mental capacity and being able to conceive an idea. I think a lot of people, as I was hearing you talk, especially when it was around the education, I think what's so sad in our society, and what contributes, I think, to a lot of the depression and anxiety and the mental disorders, or how we treat it, is that we fail to bring imagination into it. It's like if people have imagination, we'll deem them as crazy. and think like, oh, what the heck are they? They said they saw fairies and they saw an eagle. That means like what?
Yeah.
Like yes, like you know, I think there's this thing about shamanism. Like if someone's been depressed or sad or in a stuck place, the shaman would ask, when did you stop dancing? When did you stop laughing? Because it's about using that imagination, which I also see or sense is creativity, being able to create an idea. And I want to impress on people that are listening to this, please know that if you have a thought bubble, you have an idea, and keep on with that imagination because it came to you for a reason.
Yes.
There's a whole lot of as I was going down my rabbit hole with this, I had to pause me up. Brian, I was proud of myself, bro, because I was about to go in like pew. But bro, they talked about these thought forms and how if someone's thinking of something, and I think I'm gonna save this for when we go over intuition, but this is how intuition comes in too. Because we can pick up on things. So if we're imagining something and really there in it, man, we can bring that into us. We just got to believe in it. We got to believe it, man.
Yeah. I mean, I remember, you ever hear of the Waldorf schools by Rudolf Steiner? Rudolf Steiner, one of the original Rosicrucians.
Yeah.
So Rudolf Steiner created, I think he was the one that created most of the Waldorf schools. And actually, I passed one when I was in LA when I was out there a couple weeks ago. But what the Waldorf schools is, and a lot of famous people went there. Like a lot of famous, little brilliant people went there. And what they do is they were saying like the first like 7 years of your life, your left brain doesn't really get developed as a child. But what do we do as parents? Because we think it's the right thing to do. Is we, I'm not saying it's the wrong thing, but we try to teach our kids to read right away as soon as they can. They try to teach them math. They try to teach them all this like analytical stuff. And that's where I kind of came before with like the whole genius thing. So like everyone's pretty much a genius at the age of 5. And then they slowly start losing it because you're not practicing your right brain anymore. It's more just like all left brain. So in like, parents come to me, they're like, oh, my kid's so smart. He can read everything now at the age of 5 or 6. I'm like, yeah, cool. But like, you don't know the not I wouldn't say detrimental issues that they're putting upon your kid, but just know that they're losing their right brain a little bit right there. So what the Waldorf schools do is they don't, for up till about, I think it's like the age of 7 or 8, they don't do any kind of right brain stuff. I'm sorry, any kind of left brain stuff. So like play out in the garden, get your feet dirty, make shit, art, draw, blah, blah, blah. And whatever it is, and then as they start getting like the age of 8, 9, 10, they start introducing left brain stuff. And by the time they're like 11 or 12, and the kids have been doing all the analytical stuff up to the early age of 5, they already surpassed those kids with such a minimal, only 2 or 3 years of left brain stuff. So it's like you have so much right brain, which I look into as like that's like your inner genius. That's your creativity as you think outside the box. So these schools are really fascinating. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think they're like $45,000 a year to do it, but not everyone can send their kid there. But I mean, if your parents out there, you have the money, and you're looking to send your kids to private school, and I think if you really want to have a great advantage in life, look up the schools and see if you believe in those concepts. What do you think?
I dig it. I'm thinking it's a worthwhile investment. The reason I say that is because if a person is creative, and they always have that ability, they have that right brain, the right brain capacity to like imagine, like envision all that stuff. It makes sense that even if they get the analytical piece, because again, that's like more of the structure, they can create the certain structure and things around it. So anything that they approach or tackle, they're going to be looking at it more from a creative standpoint to problem solve rather than the analytical, which is actually in the long run is going to set them far apart from everyone else.
Yeah.
It's, you know what I mean? It's really kind of, it's interesting, man. It's,
And we're gonna have our my boy Langdon on in a
yeah,
couple, probably like in about 6 weeks or so, like that. And
yeah,
he's got an interesting story. This kid is like one of the smartest kids I know. Oh, shit, kid. He's like, almost 40 years old, but
right,
he doesn't even bring his kids don't even go to school. I was talking to him the other day, and like I haven't talked to him in maybe like 3 or 4 years, and we just kind of like
yeah,
we kept the contact through text, but like just hey, how you doing? But we actually talked on the phone. I'm like, oh, what grade your kids in? Like, oh, they don't
nice,
go to school. Fuck you mean you don't go to school? Like they got a
right.
3-year-old, 9, and a 10-year old. I'm like, yeah, I just don't. I know school. I'm like, do they have like you teach them at home? They're like, no, they just learn on their own. And they're way. And it's funny because he's like, they have some dudes like test every once in a while, and he's already way ahead. Their kids are like super smart, way ahead of the majority of the kids that go to school. So I'm like, kids, it's absolutely like mind-boggling. I can't wait to interview him and be like, I'm
Right.
digging this. I'm like, you must get like when you meet up with other parents, you're at birthday parties, like, oh, what grade's your kid in? He's like, I don't know. Like, I don't go to school.
Yeah.
And,
Don't go to school.
I mean,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
They don't do, they don't do
I
that.
can't wait to send my kid to school and get a couple hours of break, man.
Bro, yeah, like yo, get out. Get
Yeah.
out. I swear to goodness, that episode may be a two-parter, man, because now
Yeah.
I even have questions. I'm like, because what I'm thinking he's doing is aligned to these faculties.
Yeah,
I think it's
because
all aligned, you
their
know?
kids are very inquisitive. Like they're like, "Oh, what is this? I don't know. Here's a
Uh,
book on it. Let's go read a book. What do you want?" Like, you want to? The kids like come
right.
up to them naturally, like, "Oh, I want to learn geometry," and they're like, "All right, let's go get you a geometry book." And they like they want to learn, not forced to learn, you know. And I think that's one of the
See,
reasons I like sucked at school is because like you're forcing me to kind of sit there and learn about the Civil War or what an isosceles triangle was, and I'm just like,
I
I'd rather
saw-
be playing John Madden football and playing basketball with my friends. This sucks.
yeah,
You know,
yes, yes. And
yeah,
there's like a pull, there's like a disdain for the education. It's like, I don't want to do that right now. I'd rather go do something fun. But if you make it
yeah,
fun, then and there's education comes. The imagination comes into a lot for another faculty that that was assigned that we assigned to me, right? And that's perception. Now this one I thought was extremely fascinating because it's again talking about a faculty as something that we practice. Am I practicing what I perceive? And in the practices, am I really taking an objective view and looking at how I'm perceiving things? Now, this is something else because you know why? Most people want to be right. And the wildest thing, bro, so the videos I was watching on this, and even with the Bob Proctor, what I thought was so fascinating is that Bob had a funny way of saying it, but basically everyone's right.
yeah.
From their perspective, they're right.
Mm-hmm.
Their perception is because I'm looking at they have their perception of things, how they view it, and then I have my perception. Now the thing is I can take the same thing. I could take this water bottle. I can look at it a lot of different ways. Like I can see this, and then there's something else on this other side. So it's all perception. So what I liked about this faculty is that am I able to change my position to have another perception of something? And that truly is a practice. We got some election thing happening soon at the time of this recording. Most people are going to have their perception based on their alignment. Are they willing, all right, to shift the perception? Are they willing to practice? Hey, let me see what it would be like from this perspective. You don't know, say, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
But this was a great faculty. When I was looking, I was like, oh, that's pretty freaking fresh. And how do I perceive? Like, how am I thinking about things? Like, what am I thinking about? Really looking at my thoughts and practicing what I'm aligned to. And again, that brings in even the will and starting a little bit of imagination to be able to envision what a different perspective is like, man.
You know what this brought me back to was the episode we did on autobiographies, and it kind of brought into the part. Remember we were talking about I forgot what episode it was where we were talking about Patrick Bet-David. He has that picture with all those
Yes.
famous people around. So
Yeah.
I was like, and one of the things I was researching the other day, and this is all going to kind of tie in, but
Yeah.
when you have a problem or something that you can't figure out, you can tap into. That's why I like reading autobiographies. Like, maybe I'll have like, Harry Tubman over here. I'll have, Martin Luther King over here, or, Henry Ford down here. And I would use their energy because I read their biographies, and I'd be like, how would Henry Ford handle this problem? How would Harriet Tubman handle this problem? How would Napoleon Hill handle this problem? And I use that in meditation a lot. Different answers. I don't use them all, but it's funny. I get like different answers because I'm like tapping into their energy. And like you said, everybody, and like no one reads the same book. No one watches the same movie. And that's what's beautiful about it. Why, like, if you, me, and we have like 5 other friends are sitting around and we all watch the same movie and everyone comes up with the same conclusion, that's boring, man. Like, uh, why am I talking to you? I already know what
Right.
you're going to say.
Right.
I want to know your point of view, what's coming from. And this is how it should go with everything. You should be learning something. You should be expanding your mind. And this, like we were kind of talking about with the elections coming up, everyone's like Trump this or Biden this. I'm like, who gives a shit? This is your chance to evolve spiritually, grow, learn something, and put yourself in somebody else's shoe, get a different perception out of it. Perceptive.
I'm going to take a pause. Yeah, no, listen, I think that was more like at least 55 cents, man. That was good shit. That was good shit. And I want to pause here and bring back in what we were talking about at the beginning. Being able to do this, like how you were just talking about, B, is a paradigm shift. Okay, it's even, and it's free of saying, "Oh my God, I'm going to do something different." No, we're free of telling you that at all. It's more about just being able to have a different perspective. Yeah. That's it. Listen. Yeah. That was the whole.
So, and I'm at a point in my life where like I don't care about being right or wrong. I want to hear if somebody disagrees with me, as long as you're coming at me respectfully, you're not like, attacking me like personally. Like, you see, I want to have a conversation with you. I want to know where you're coming from. That's why I like hanging out with people like or all different parts of the world. Like, I want to learn. I'd rather be like, hey, what you're saying today is totally wrong because of X, Y, and Z. You ever think about it, looking at it this way? Oh, no shit. I never thought about it. Thank you so much, man. Like, you're my boy now for life. Like I just learned something. I grew. I evolved.
Yes. God, and that's the whole piece. You know what I appreciate about what you said, and tying this back into like the movie situation. That when I like to read Napoleon or touch Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich at least once a year. Every time I do for the past 6 years, probably maybe 7, I pick up something new in the book. Like I'm like, oh, okay, I remember that, and I get a new vessel because I evolve. So I bring that up because people, you can try this on your own. If there's a movie, for example, if there's a movie you haven't seen in a while, I guarantee if you watch that movie again, you're gonna pick up something else you felt that you didn't pick up the last couple times. If you read a book, I guarantee if you read that book again, you haven't read it in several years, you're gonna pick up something different than you picked up the last time you read it. Because you evolve, you've experienced some different things. You're going to catch different things. That's the beautiful thing about being able to read and meditate and just like being able to process and think, which is huge. And you got another one coming up, right? You got one more. And I got one more.
Yeah, intuition. I love this one. To me, the intuition is the universe's way of talking to you. So like as like people and everything is energy. People are masses of energy, basically at high speed vibration, right? And if you tune in, you can pick up on that energy, and you can tell what's going on. So to me, like intuition, it's just like this marvelous mental faculty that gives us the conscious ability to pick up vibration, pick up another person's thought, to read their energy. I mean, we've all been there before. I know you're highly intuitive. Like you can probably walk into a room and pick up on people's energy. You're an empath, I'm sure. And to me, this is probably the most important. It's like it's I don't know how to explain it. It's almost like, you get these like
I
little
feel it
people
though.
in the universe, right? And it's like everyone's telling you to do this, and you're like, don't do it. And even if it comes out bad, and you follow your intuition, but it looks bad in the beginning, later on in life or later on down the road, you're like, I'm glad that happened to me. Every bad thing in my life that have ever happened to me, I look back and I'm like, I'm so grateful it happened to me. It changed my life for the better.
Bruh.
So
Bruh.
I use as I get older too, I use my intuition as my compass in life. I try not to. Sometimes I like to overthink, and I like to become, try to use more logic. But the problem with being logic is we live in an illogical world. Our universe is random. It's illogical. So too many people try to use logic, and it's like you're smacking your head up against the wall and not going anywhere.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that illogical piece in a moment. I do want to add to your wisdom. When I was listening in on this too, the thing that I had to rewind on was when Bob Proctor mentioned how the feelings are our way of labeling the vibrations that we're experiencing. And I was like, oh, junk. And we have recently done an episode on vibration in the Hermeticism episode, and also on frequency in that frequency episode. I think it's really important for us to note that that intuition is in all of us, very much like the memory. We all have it. The thing is we start to go sideways when we continue to ignore it. I speak from experience in relationships. I know this woman wasn't good for me, god damn it, but the loving was good, man. So I was like, shut up, gut. Shut your ass up. So
I think every male's been there. Every female too, probably at one point.
Yep.
Males
we are all human.
Males are a little, sorry guys, but it takes a little longer to learn things than females. Females are a lot smarter than males.
Yo, shoot, men are hard-headed. We are hard-headed, man. Hard-headed. That's that left brain.
That reptilian thing, man. Yeah, just hunt, mate, and sleep.
Yep. That's it, man. That's it. But even like that, though, the intuition. One of the things that I was listening to this, it was someone else. They were talking about intuition and how it's like women's intuition or female intuition. But like we all have it, and it's the we're taking in all these different things, and it's our body's way of processing, which I think runs into that. I think the intuition and the reason when I was looking up into this, that almost took me into a rabbit hole too, because I was like, well, they almost go hand in hand. It's like what I was envisioning is I'm gonna listen. My gut is telling me something. It's like, wait, hold on, don't do this. Yet my mind is like, well, go do this. This makes sense. But the thing that was really a nuance about reason is being able to take the intuition, the senses of all these different things that are coming in and create the way forward. Like your reason, like, okay, this is like when I looked up the definition, because I did think, understand, and form a judgment, like, or a next path, the next way. So I think by us focusing on that, I think is so important. When I was thinking about reason, for some reason I started thinking about wants. And how people, if we fail to practice reason, it's like they're most likely going to be someone that's unable to claim what they want. And it's a hypothesis. I'm unsure, but I think that may be real, because first of all, they're failing to reason, and then also the intuition is way off, bro. They're like not listening to themselves at all. So there's no trust there, man. It's crazy.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Yeah,
Man.
I think a lot of people they reason themselves right out of success. Sometimes.
Yes, brother.
Yes, you know what I mean? They try to be too logical, and again, not following the intuition. So, I mean,
yeah, dude.
Yeah,
Go
I
ahead, man.
mean, for me, like reason is where you kind of pluck thoughts out of the universe, or you create thoughts and thoughts that are kind of floating around from others, and you build these ideas out of it. But you have to use your intuition to kind of sort it all out. Or if you just rely solely on just like left brain logic stuff, again, in an illogical universe, you kind of find yourself like, smacking your head against the wall again. Like
Yeah, yeah, man. Yes,
I
I
think
think
they
it's
work
such
hand in hand.
the brother. We are on the same, Brian. We're on the same page because I was literally gonna say that. I'm like, man, they go together, man. Like when I look at this whole body of the faculties, I'm reminded of the Hermetic principles, how they're almost how they build on each other. And I
Yeah.
think if when people, damn, I'm just like really, it's settling into me right now how much I appreciate that we're talking about this because we talk so much about mental health, yet there's very little information on how we develop it. Like we like how many when I go back and edit, I think I may count how many times we talked about practice.
Yeah.
We're talking about practice, man. So this is like a repetition. This is like a muscle. B, you said this before in the beginning. Us developing our mind and creating true mental health, though, true mental health. Yo, we gotta rock with these pieces, man. Even if it's one of them,
Yeah. And I think it's one of those
bro.
things where if you work on one of them, all of them will grow. I think they all work together, you know, So like find one that, whatever one you want and just kind of focus on that. I would start with we talk about maybe perception. I mean, this is a great year to kind of look in perception, you know. I think I mean, time this comes out, I think our first, the debate between Trump and Biden are starting, I think tomorrow or 2 days from now.
Yeah,
And
sometimes.
that's gonna be the Facebook's talk for like the next week, and everybody, and you look at the comments, everyone's gonna be attacking each other, and like
Yeah.
it's crazy.
So, I want to also check in on something because this is very interesting as we're talking about this because what you just said is a really powerful way to practice perception. So, for people watching this, as you go forward, wherever you are right now, and by the time this is released, we'll probably be like in we'll probably be in July or August. I don't know. I don't know. I've yet to know. But I want you to notice when there are these debates or when there's like these political discussions, rather than reply or put your comment in or get angry, read the comments and look at the perspectives. What's your intuition saying?
Yeah.
The
Don't
first
judge.
thing,
Are you able to just observe? That's it.
bruh.
Are you able to observe it?
Listen,
Don't judge it to the side and just observe and pretend like all the shit is above your head and you're just kind of looking at it as like clouds kind of passing by. Are you able to just kind of look at it with no emotion? If you have emotion
yes,
behind it, or you want to become a keyboard warrior and
yeah,
that's something you need to work on. You need to work
yeah,
on. You have a couple
yes.
words that will trigger you. You need to work on
What?
that.
Yeah, listen, yes, and this is perspective. This is perspective as well, because
Yeah.
I'm just speaking from my experience. When I get pissed off, I'm like, they don't know shit. I'm right. So what are you right about? Like, what is their response making? So what is it in their response that has that emotion come up in you? That's looking at the perspective. That's looking at the perspective, man. Like you gotta like, yo, come on now. Like this is a powerful thing about this is practice. People, I don't know if people really understand the challenge it is to be judgment free in situations.
It's tough.
It's tough, bro. Our
It's tough.
natural processing center is to analyze and judge.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, bruh. So you got to practice. I said, yeah, got to practice. Lord, can I get an amen? Got to, bro. Amen. Hallelujah. But dude, so B, before we wrap up, man, I'm curious, which one of these, if you were to practice one of these mental faculties, which one would you practice more than which one?
Dude,
Which
I'm
is
a
the one?
huge, huge visualizer. Imagination. I love
Mm.
we don't as adults
Mm.
when we get beat down in life, it's very hard to keep that imagination going.
Mm. Mm.
I'm a huge visualizer. I mean, I read enough in quantum physics. I know the studies, and I don't know all the math behind it. I'm no way going to teach a quantum physics seminar in college, but I know the basics. It's going to get me to I'm a good at manifesting. I would say I'm good at
Mm.
visualization. Creates good at manifestation. So you
Mm.
have to use your imagination. Focus on that. Watch videos on it. Do whatever you need to do, and
Mm.
know where you want to go, and imagine yourself already accomplishing that. Again, you got to be. To me, I look at imagination and visualization is almost synonymous with delusion in a way, because you're believing something happened that isn't even there yet. And I'm okay. Like and all my close friends,
I'm
like
good with that.
man, all my close friends know I'm a little fucked up, and I'm okay with that. We all are. You know.
Some may say I'm a dreamer, and I'm not the only
The only
one.
one. What a great.
Yeah, but yeah, right, brother.
Yeah.
So listen, imagine, people, imagine. Hey, look, dude, hands down for me,
Hey,
memory.
for a little quick fact, that was a 430.
Yeah.
Imagine was a song that was based on 428 hertz. You know that? That's why a lot of people they were drawn to it. That's one of my favorite songs. Every time that song comes on, man, I just gotta I feel it,
Yeah,
man.
feel it, bro. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. I think I even put my hand on my body too, just like
man,
what?
one of my favorite
Oh,
songs. Yeah.
I'm gonna play that later.
Yeah.
So yes, and memory. That's the one I'm working on. That's my practice.
What are you gonna do?
Because, well, I want to get like one of the things in one of the videos I watched, Bob Proctor is like get a book on memorization, and I want to get a book on memorizing names. I'm going to get good. I am good. I want to unlock my brain to open and access my perfect memory. So when people are like, "Hi, my name is such and such," I'm like, "Oh, okay. How do I spell that? Okay, cool, awesome, thank you." Even remembering passages, dreams, insights, things like that. I think I'm gonna. Well, the first part is starting with the names. That's the big thing because I know for me, like I'll meet someone, I'm like, "All right, hey man, nice to meet you."
Yeah.
Wait, what was it again? Okay,
Yeah.
because I'm just like bad, bro.
Well, listen,
I'll be
man, we
good.
go to these classes,
I'll be
man.
good.
Sometimes we have 30, 40 people in these classes, and we got new people in there, man. Like,
Bruh,
oh,
bruh.
oh.
And you know what's one of the things I love is like I just meet someone, and they remember my name. I'm like,
That's
you
impressive.
mother.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is impressive, man. It makes me feel like shit. I'm like,
yeah,
mother.
yeah.
I'm gonna get that shit. But anyway, it's good. So that's what I'm gonna work on. So
Yeah.
people, you know what? What are you gonna work on? Out of we had perception, will, imagination, reason, memory, intuition. What are you working on? Put it in the comments, party peoples. Put it in there. And while you're putting stuff in the comments, make sure you like and share and subscribe. Okay.
Yeah. How are you
Blessings to
working
you.
on too? What are the tools you're using? What are you
Yeah,
doing?
yeah,
Yeah. I would
yes.
like to
Thank
learn
you,
from you
bro.
guys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's you know what, dude. Thank you for that. Yeah. What are you working on, and how are you working on it? B, brother. Brother. This is like the power team, man. Bruh.
Yeah.
Let's go, bro. Let's go. All right, party people. Peace. See, until next time.
Appreciate it,
Peace.
guys. Peace.